Hello, everyone. This is Angela Smith-Jang from Hunger Free Vermont, and I'm joined by my colleague, Faye Conti, of Hunger Free Vermont as well. We're the 3Squares Vermont team here, and we are here to talk today with you about the upcoming ARA cuts to 3Squares Vermont, or SNAP as it's called at the national level. And we're hopefully going to do a short presentation and then have lots of time for question and answers if people have them. So hopefully you all got emails that were able for you to access the webinar, and hopefully the technology works for us throughout the webinar. If you do have any tech problems, feel free to give us a call. John Harris is on standby to help you with those, and the number here is 865-0255. You should also be able to ask questions. We're going to have some Q&A time at the end. If you do have a question, you can also write it in to the question box, and we will try to get to as many of those questions as possible. Those are all recorded, so if we don't get to all the questions, we'll be able to follow up with you after the webinar as well. So let's get started. Hopefully you're seeing the screen that says Help Vermonters Prepare for 3Squares Vermont Benefits Cuts coming in November. And I'm going to cover the first portion of the webinar where we're going to talk about what it is and how it works, and how it's going to impact Vermont households. Faye is going to talk more about how you can help Vermonters maximize their benefits and additional resources and things. So that's the agenda. And let's jump in. Just as a little bit of background on hunger in Vermont and where things stand, USDA just released its annual report showing that 1 in 8 Vermont households are currently struggling with hunger. It's actually 12.7%, which is very similar to what it was last year, when last year's report was released at this time, which was 12.8%. So hunger hasn't really changed in Vermont. We still have a lot of Vermonters that really rely on benefits. And right now, about 100,000 Vermonters rely on 3Squares Vermont to buy food for their families at home. So as you know, 3Squares Vermont is a federal nutrition program administered by the USDA that provides food on an EBT card for people to use at the grocery store to buy food to feed their families. At the state level, it's administered by the Department for Children and Families, and we're grateful to DCF today for letting us do this webinar. And I believe there is someone from DCF on the phone as well, who, if we run into other questions that I can't answer, she may be able to answer them. Amy Darley's on the phone with us. Okay, so for many 3Squares Vermont households, we know that the food budget is small and that every dollar counts. So any loss of benefits put households at further risk of hunger and malnutrition. And so the cuts that are coming in November are going to be big, and it's going to make it harder for families to put food on the table. So our goal in talking to you today is that we really want everyone to be prepared to do what we can to help Vermonters who may be losing these benefits. So what is the cut, and where does it come from? In 2009, Congress passed the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act, ARA, as it's called for short, or sometimes it's just called the stimulus bill. What that did was it temporarily increased benefits for all households, all SNAP or 3Squares Vermont households during the recession. So a family of 4 saw an increase of $80 a month starting in April 2009. And so benefit levels have been high since that time. In 2010, Congress passed additional legislation that took some of that money for other laws to pay for other things. And so what that means is that that temporary increase in benefits is ending this November 1st. That's the date that they set. Unfortunately, neither USDA nor the state of Vermont can change that law. That's a law created by Congress. So what we're going to see is that 50,000 households, about 50,000 households in Vermont will see a decrease in benefits starting on November 1st. How much is the cut? The amount depends on household size. So starting November 1st, a one-person household will see their benefits decreased from whatever their October benefit level is to their November benefit level. It will decrease by $11. For two people, it'll decrease by $20, $3.29, $4, $36, and it goes up from there. A household of one or two people that are currently receiving the minimum benefit of $16 will see a $1 decrease. The minimum benefit will become $15 instead. And just a side note, there are some households that could become what are called zero benefit households. For example, a family of three that's potentially getting $20 now will lose $20 in November, which would leave them with a negative balance or a zero benefit. They may still be eligible within the eligibility guidelines for 3Squares Vermont, but they're not going to have a dollar benefit each month. How is this going to work? Every household will receive a heads-up letter the first week of October, I believe, that DCF is working on right now. It's a generic letter explaining that the cut's coming and why it's coming. It's going to be on bright-colored paper so that it stands out a bit from other notices that people will receive. And there will likely be a specific 1-800 number for people to call with questions, a number different from the regular Benefit Service Center number that people use for currently to connect with economic services about benefits questions. This will be a specific number so that when they call, people know they're calling about these questions about this cut. In addition to getting that sort of generic letter at the very beginning of October, every household will receive a notice that's specific to their household situation in mid-October. Usually it's about 2 weeks before the first of the month. That notice will explain how much their household will lose in benefits specifically and what their November 1st benefit amount will be. So this will be a standard notice that people are used to getting from DCF on white paper. Sorry, just checking the attendee panel and the questions panel, make sure I'm keeping track of everybody. Okay. So you're getting the generic letter at the beginning of October and then your specific household letter mid-October. As a reminder, some people's benefits will also be changing in October. So the November benefits decrease comes on top of an October benefits increase, making this pretty confusing for people. So just to back up, October is the start of the new federal fiscal year. It runs from October through September. So every October, USDA updates some of the standard numbers that are used to calculate 3Squares Vermont benefits. So about 19,000 households in Vermont are going to see a slight increase to their benefits on October 1st based on some of these numbers changing, likely just $1 to $5. It depends on the household situation. But they'll receive a notice mid-September, next week potentially, informing them of the change to their benefit amount. If they've been getting 3Squares Vermont for a while, they'll probably anticipate this because these changes happen every October. And then the decrease in November will be taken from that October benefit amount. Important to note, not all households see a change in their benefits for October 1st, but all households will see a change November 1st. So, for example, a family of 4 that's getting $100 in September may get $105 in October, and then $69 in November, 100 plus 5 minus 36. So they'll receive 3 separate mailings about the changes. They'll get the mid-September mailing about the October change. They'll get the generic heads-up letter about the November cut, and they'll get their specific notice mid-November about the November change. So it's a lot of paperwork coming in the mail for people, and it's potentially a lot of changes coming on top of each other. Not to mention the fact that people are also getting notices about other benefits programs that they may be on this fall, like fuel assistance and health care, given the changes in those programs. So a lot happening, a lot of potential confusion, which is why we wanted to give everyone a heads up now. Oh, I just got a note from Amy that the October notice, the notice that people get mid-September informing them of their October 1st changes was just mailed this week on Wednesday. So people could be getting it today or early next week. So I'm going to turn it over to Faye and ask her to talk a little bit about how we can help Vermonters given the fact that they're getting these benefits cuts. Faye, are you there? I don't know how to unmute Faye. Oh wait, I think I can. Just a second. Faye, can you speak now? No. I still can't hear you. One second, folks. Sorry about this. We just want to make sure that we can all hear Faye when she's talking. Faye, I'm just going to make you the presenter so that you should have control over the screen as well. And then hopefully you can talk. Yeah, I'll keep going. Okay, for some reason, the screen is saying that we should be able to hear Faye, and that she's the presenter, but that's not actually, I don't know about anyone else, but I can't hear her. So I'm just going to keep going so that we don't, and whoops, here we go. Apologies for that, folks. Thank you for bearing with me. So helping Vermonters maximize their benefits. For households that are already currently getting the maximum benefit, looking at deductions won't help them increase the amount of 3Squares for Vermont benefits that they could be getting. However, for households that don't currently receive the maximum benefit, it's possible they could get more benefits if they're not taking advantage of all the deductions they might be eligible for. So I'm just going to highlight a couple of those today for you to be watching for with the Vermonters that you work with. For seniors, 60 plus, and people with disabilities. They can deduct their out-of-pocket medical expenses, anything over $35 a month, to increase their 3Squares Vermont benefits. And this is a really broad deduction, as many of you know. So lots of different healthcare expenses can be claimed, including, co-pays for premiums, medical equipment, over-the-counter medicines, transportation to the doctor, home support services, etc. It's very broad, and there's lots of things that can be claimed. It all has to be it has to be documented to be able to be counted. And if people can claim at least $35 a month in the medical expense, then they can get a standard deduction that may potentially increase their benefits. So it's a really good deduction to take a look at closely if you're working with Vermonters that are over 60 or people with disabilities. We have more information about that deduction on VermontFoodHelp.com, which I'll talk about in a few minutes. The other deduction I wanted to highlight was the dependent care deduction. This is for Vermonters who need care for children, dependent children, or dependent adults, so that they can work, look for work, or attend school or a training program. These households can deduct out-of-pocket dependent care costs. So that would be traditional daycare costs, what you're paying out, or co-pays after a subsidy's been paid. This can be before school care, after school care, and also transportation to and from care. So that's a deduction that can really help working Vermonters who have children to claim more expenses and get a higher 3Squares Vermont benefit. Both of these deductions are underutilized in Vermont. And so that's why we highlight them, because they could help households increase their benefits if they're eligible for them. And so it's a good thing to take a look at these. And you can use the calculator on VermontFoodHelp.com. The calculator is called How Much Can I Get? You click on that, and it kind of walks you through the all the questions around household size and income and expenses in a pretty quick and simple way, and can give you a pretty good estimate of what someone's benefits might be. And I've often used that calculator to look at someone before claiming a deduction and after claiming a deduction, and it can make a real difference. So it's worth really taking a close look at those with people you work with. In addition to trying to help people maximize the 3Squares Vermont resources and benefits that they have, we also want to help Vermonters access all the other resources that might be able to help their budget and free up more money for food. So make sure that households that you're working with or know how to point them towards resources like school meals, child care meals, WIC, summer meals, Meals on Wheels, the Commodity Supplemental Food Program for seniors, whatever meals are in the community, and food shelves, of course. And then make sure that, a lot of households that are eligible for 3Squares Vermont are also eligible, as you all know, for a wealth of other programs as well that have similar eligibility guidelines. So fuel assistance and the new energy assistance programs like the discounts for Green Mountain Power and Vermont Gas. Any household that gets 3Squares Vermont is eligible for phone assistance as well through economic services. All the health care discount programs, child care subsidy, housing, etc. So I would recommend pointing people to VermontFoodHelp.com, to mybenefits.vt.gov, and having them call 211 to get connected to whatever other resources might be available to them. Sometimes people just, they're thinking about one thing. Oh, I really just need help with fuel. And they don't think about all of the other programs that they might be eligible for. Or they're just thinking about food and not the other programs. So we really want to help people comprehensively, as I know you all do. So what we're hoping to do in the very near future is get you a handout that you can share with Vermonters who are receiving 3Squares Vermont that'll outline the November cut for them and point them to all of these other resources that might be available to them. We're also working on some talking points for you when you're asked questions about the program or about the cut or about what's happening or what to do. We're anticipating people are going to have a lot of questions about it, be confused, or just be upset, and what to do about that. The letter that households were going to receive in early October, the one that's going to be on bright paper and kind of just explain the cut in general, we're hoping to also be able, for DCF to also be able to share a copy of that letter with you so that you'll be able to know what people are receiving as well. Just as a reminder, VermontFoodHelp.com I mentioned has a lot of resources on it, and I just want to point you back to that. In the outreach tools section, that's where we have flyers specifically about the medical expense deduction and the dependent care deduction. We'll be putting up in the next couple of days an announcement about the November cut as well. And as we get these handouts and things for it to be able to share with you, we'll link them all up here as well. There's the calculator, how much can I get? There's a link to the application where there's a link to the online application, there's a link to print an application, there's a link to request that an application be sent to your home, and there's information in other languages for speakers of other languages. People can find out where they can use their benefits, what are emergency benefits, what are replacement benefits, etc. So please use the website, and please let us know if there's other things that, if there's things that don't make sense on the website, or if there are things that you'd like to see on this website as well. Hunger Free Vermont maintains the website in collaboration with Department for Children and Families. So we'd like it to be as up-to-date and as useful to you as possible, and to your clients as well. And finally, I was hoping to solicit your help in advocating for 3Squares Vermont as well. Not only do we have this cut coming in November, but the program is also potentially going to be cut in the Farm Bill. The House of Representatives is currently looking at a new proposal that would cut the program by about $40 billion over 10 years. What that would mean for Vermont is that thousands of Vermonters would become ineligible for the program at all, and thousands more would see further benefit cuts if that proposal were to become law. We don't anticipate that the Senate would agree to that proposal, and that's currently being floated in the House. But nonetheless, it's a real threat, and it would have to be compromised in some way, likely ending up in some form of cuts to the program. So we're really trying to share a message that Congress should not cut the program anymore. We've already seen cuts to this program. We've got this big cut coming in November. We need a strong program that provides enough benefits for Vermonters to eat well 3 times a day. And that by continuing to cut the program in these different ways, that we'll just see hunger and malnutrition increase across Vermont and across the country. So we encourage you to call or email the delegation and share a story of a Vermont family or a senior or a veteran or a child that you work with, and share how much they need 3Squares Vermont. And it's also great if Vermonters themselves who actually get 3Squares Vermont would reach out as well to their lawmakers and share their stories. That's really, really important, and the stories really do make a difference, more so than any statistics or facts that I can share. It's the stories of how this program makes a difference for real Vermonters that lawmakers really want to hear. So this summer, one of the things that Hunger Free Vermont did was we tried to gather a few different stories from Vermonters across the state to share with the delegation. And here's an example of a quote that we got from a mom. Without 3Squares Vermont benefits, I wouldn't be able to feed my children. Vermont's a very expensive state to live in. I have 2 young children on the autism spectrum. How do you tell an autistic 5-year-old that he has to go to bed hungry? My family needs 3Squares Vermont in order to survive. And these quotes were shared with the delegation last week as we were advocating against this new proposal in the House. So now I think we can open it up to questions and see where we can go from there. So I'm going to answer a few questions, or a question that came in on the question box. Remember, you can ask a question in the question box, or you can use the little hand icon, raise your hand, and ask a question over the phone. So I have a question in the question box that I'll take first, and then there are a couple of hands raised as well, so I'll take those as well. I'm also noticing that a lot of people are not actually watching the webinar on your screen. If you could come back to us, and that would be great, because we can, I think all the questions might be helpful for other people as well. So the first question I got in the question box, excuse me, was, will handouts and letters be translated? And that's a great question. Not to my knowledge will they be translated. At least the handouts that Hunger Free Vermont is working on. Unfortunately, we didn't have the budget to be able to do translation unless we can find some free translation services to be able to do some of that. But I am not sure if the Department for Children and Families has plans to do any translation of handouts, or if they're going to rely on interpretation when people ask questions. I will do my best to find out and get back to you on that question, because it's a really good point. Okay, so it looks like Wendy, you've had your hand raised for a while, so if you still have a question, I'm going to unmute you. Wendy, do you have a question?
No, I'm sorry. I didn't know I was with my hand up. Sorry.
No problem, no problem. Ellie, it looks like you have a question. Did you want to, I'm going to unmute you now.
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
You can?
Yes.
Amazing. I'm having trouble getting around on this website. So you may have already said this, Angela, but I'm wondering how soon the new standard utility allowance will be posted in the new, how soon will be posting the updated worksheet on Vermont Food Help?
Yeah, great question, Ellie.
I looked today, that's not there.
Yeah, I just actually did redid the calculation worksheet, and so I just need to get it posted on Vermont Food Help for you.
Do you know offhand what the changes are to the standard utility allowance? Because a couple weeks ago we didn't know that.
Yeah, and we shared it in the minutes of the work group meeting. I don't have the number in front of me.
Oh, are they in the minutes? Because they weren't in the discussion that day.
Yep, they're in the minutes. I believe it's
okay. I can find it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, but we what Ellie is referring to, for those who don't know, on VermontFoodHelp.com, where we have the calculator where you can do the online, where you can do the, how much can I get, and you can go through that and find out how much someone can get. In the outreach tool section, under the tools for advocates, when you scroll down the outreach tools and you get to tools for advocates, there's a worksheet where for some advocates it's helpful to kind of write it out by hand, what someone's income is, what the deductions are, and it walks you through that to help you figure out what someone's net benefit will be. And Hunger Free Vermont updates that worksheet every year so that it includes the standards changes each October. There's just a few things that change, and we're going to get that posted on Vermont Food Help for everybody. Okay, and Ellie, the new SUA, the new Standard Utility Allowance starting October 1st, the highest level is 771.
751, so we've gone up $2. Woohoo!
771.
Oh, 771.
Mm-hmm.
I thought you said 751.
221 if someone doesn't pay for heat, and $36 if you only use a phone.
So the first one is 771, not 751?
Yes, 771.
Okay.
771. Yes.
Got it. That's a great help.
You're welcome. Are there other questions? Oh, I got a question. Question here in the question box. Will the PowerPoint be available to print? I'm representing a team, and I'd like to be able to pass on the information. Yes, what I'm planning to do after the webinar is send a follow-up email to everyone. I actually have a short 3-question evaluation for you, if you don't mind, and then I will include a copy of the PowerPoint for you to share with your coworkers or network. Okay. And I had another question that about starting a meal program, which would be a great resource for people in the community when they don't have enough benefits. And John, I'm gonna follow up with you separately, because that is a question for my colleagues about how to start a meal program in your community. And I'm the 3Squares expert, but not the meal program expert. So we'll get back to you on that. Are there any other questions? I'm not seeing any hands raised. If people have questions, you can raise your hand. Okay, I do have another question. Any ideas about how food co-ops can help, especially help their low-income shoppers? That is a great question, Bonnie, and I do think that retailers, whether it be co-ops or grocery stores or farmers markets or wherever people are going to buy food using their 3Squares benefits, I do think that retailers can play an important role in helping do outreach for this, letting people know, and then pointing them to more resources. So I'm hoping that, first of all, to spread the word among co-ops and grocery stores and such, to make sure that everyone from managers to cashiers kind of knows about this, and knows that people are going to be pretty stressed this winter as they're trying to shop and make ends meet. So that's one thing, spreading the word. And then having information in your stores for people who might need more resources. So the handout that I'm going to share with the group coming soon, that would be a great thing to have at your customer service desk. And then also I think that retailers, co-ops, grocery stores, whoever, can also play a role in the advocacy and really helping us fight any further cuts that might be coming down the road. Because these benefits are spent in stores across Vermont, and it really it's an economic stimulus for our community, and we want to make sure that so when benefits are cut, it not only hurts individuals, but it hurts the local economy. So we'll get that information to you. Another question came in about free or reduced price lunch, and if a family receives a zero benefit, will this qualify them for free school meals? And that's a great question, And unfortunately, if a family is eligible for 3Scores Vermont, but their net income is not low enough to receive a dollar benefit, so they're considered a zero benefit household, that family, or the children in that family that are going to school, are not directly certified for free or reduced priced meals. That doesn't mean that they couldn't get free or reduced price meals in Vermont. What they need to do is fill out the school meal application. And currently in Vermont, all household or all children who are eligible for reduced price meals are now getting free meals, both breakfast and lunch. So it's really important for families to return that school meal application so that they can get those free meals. I would say that it's still important for families to, if they have a zero benefit in 3Squares, to keep their case open, because a lot of times household situations change, and someone might move in or move out, someone might get some more hours and then be over income, but then lose some work hours and then actually qualify for a benefit. So with an open case, that household can easily report a change and then get a dollar benefit. If they close their case and decide it's not worth it, then if they do become eligible later on, if someone loses a job or something like that, then they have to actually go through the whole application process again. So to kind of cut down on that burden for a household, it's better to just keep the case open. So if things change, you're all good to go. A PowerPoint will be available, and that all these Q&As that are coming through onto the question panel are recorded, and we will include answers to those as well. Another question came in saying that there's a lot of families that on the school meal application list that they're a 3Squares Vermont family, and that so that they do not have to complete the financials. How do we know if they're a zero benefit household? That those families would not appear on the direct certification list that the school receives from the Agency of Education. So it would be double checking that list, I believe. Amy, it looks like you have your hand raised. So, but I don't see you on the phone, so I'm not sure how to unmute you so that you can ask your question or make your comment. Can you write me a question in the box or a comment in the box? Looks like you didn't enter your PIN for your phone. I'm not sure what's going on there, but okay.
Is that better?
Oh, I hear you now, Amy.
I came in on a different line and forgot to do the pound 56 pound.
Okay, go ahead.
I only wanted to say hello, everybody. As a Economic Services Division Food and Nutrition person, I've been working very closely with Hunger Free Vermont and have taken note of these questions, and am really pleased that this webinar has happened because it is a very busy time. And all our households and all our Vermonters on and off any kind of benefit are keeping track of a lot of different information. So I have made note of the question in particular about whether or not the handouts or letters that DCF sends out will be translated. And to my knowledge, we don't have the budget to do that either. However, the contracted interpretive services that are available through the call center are very good and will also have their own talking points as soon as I can get them out. So happy Friday.
Thank you, Amy. We appreciate that. Okay, I got another question that I want to answer, and then I think we're going to, I don't want to keep you all too long, and it's almost 12:45, but just a couple more questions. One is, are there any resources for helping clients advocate with their senators? I'd love to make these resources about the Farm Bill and such available to people I work with. And that's a great question. And in the follow-up to that, we can also include contact information for the delegation and some ways to get in touch with them and some potential messages to share with them. I think that would be great for clients that you work with to be able to do that. Okay, and then there's a clarification. I just want to this is from Nancy Lewis at the Agency of Ed. Hi, Nancy. Thanks for chiming in. I just want to clarify that folks could put a 3Squares Vermont case number on their application and be qualified for school meals based on that. So the question about zero benefit begs the question, do folks who receive zero benefits get a case number? I believe that they do. I believe that they do. And so that's something I will follow up on to make sure that how that's working for people, and make sure that it's working between DCF and Agency of Ed for those folks and for the schools. Okay. I'm not seeing any more hands raised or questions coming through. So what I want to do now is just let you all know that we will follow up really soon with you over email, and I'm going to include a short evaluation survey that I would love if you don't mind filling out, as well as more information about things that we've talked about. As soon as I can get all the Q&A together and the PowerPoint together, I'll get that to you all. And as I said, there are more materials coming soon, like the handout you can share with clients and community members, talking points, and hopefully a copy of the letter so you'll be able to see exactly what 3Squares Vermont participants are getting in the mail as well. Feel free to contact us anytime with additional questions or thoughts or ideas of how we can work together to make sure that Vermonters are getting the food that they need. So I've got my email up on the bottom of the screen, and Faye's as well. We're here to help. Just let us know how we can do that. So thank you all so much for coming today, and we'll be in touch soon.